Do you think Alex Smith being in the equation at quarterback for the Redskins ends up being more of a headache or a luxury to the Washington Redskins? Look, we don't know what's going to happen. As Cake said, he may be on this, pup list for a while, and they may ultimately flunk him and say he's not going to even have a chance to step on the field.
By the way, that would be the very first test he's ever flunked, I guarantee it. There's no chance he's ever flunked the test.
You know what? He needs some of that. Well,
I flunked
was
multiple.
about to say he needs adversity. He's had plenty of adversity dealing with his leg.
Did you take physics at Roosevelt like Cakes and I did? I'm telling you, he would have flunked that.
Guessing his course load at Utah wasn't that taxing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy.
I think that kid's really smart.
I'm sure he is.
Call him a kid. He's mid-30s.
Right.
He's a kid to me.
He's a kid to us, yeah.
If you want to chime in on the Alex Smith thing, 800-636-1067. A couple other nuggets. We mentioned this yesterday, but I guess it became official. The Washington football team has signed Dontrell Inman.
Mm-hmm.
So that adds a little depth at wide receiver. The vet played 7 games for the Colts last year with a whopping 12 catches and 181 yards. But if you look at the wide receiver depth chart, that's better than probably half of the guys in the room right now.
I mean, I felt bad after I goofed on him yesterday, but, I mean, he's been in the league since 2014. I mean, he's found a way to stick around in the NFL for what looks like 6 seasons, so good for him. I don't know how impactful he's going to be, but he adds another body to the room with guys, like Cody Latimer on the commissioner's exempt list. Yeah. Kelvin Harmon out for the year with the torn ACL. They're just down in numbers in that wide receiver room. So he's another body. We'll see how he fits in.
They need depth. He adds to the depth.
Yeah, he's got 170 career catches, over 2,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Find the guys on the roster that have those career numbers.
Right.
You just don't.
He's a solid NFL wide receiver.
Yes.
That's pretty much his resume.
I would say, he's a solid backup receiver.
Solid guy.
Yeah.
Yesterday when we had John Arand on the show, we were talking about how the Monday Night Football booth is expected to change. So they've basically done a complete overhaul. Nobody's remaining from last year. And it's going to include Louis Riddick in the booth, a guy who was an executive. He was actually with the Redskins organization for a while. Of course, has been an analyst on ESPN the last couple of years. Well, Louis Riddick raves about Dwayne Haskins. He says, I expect Dwayne Haskins to have an absolutely fantastic, monstrous year. Now, he does have a caveat, providing everything else around him stays intact because he's earned it. He's worked for it this offseason.
What's that mean, stays intact? Guys just stay healthy?
Yeah, it's a nebulous caveat. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
He says, I think Dwayne has taken the perfect approach this offseason. If you look at his social media, he basically chronicled his entire offseason as far as how hard he's been working, how much weight he has shed. He looks absolutely fantastic. Do we think that Dwayne Haskins can have a monstrous year given the fact that he doesn't have much help at wide receiver?
Well, what's a monster year for Dwayne Haskins? What are the numbers look like?
I would say, Cakes, if he plays 16 games.
Okay.
All right, assuming there are 16 games and he stays healthy.
Yep.
I would say more than 22 touchdowns.
Yeah, I would say monstrous means
mid-20s.
25.
Yeah.
If he gets to that number, sprinkles in 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns with his newer svelte frame, then that's a Godzilla-like season. If he approaches anything close to like 30 touchdowns combined, huge season 2 for Haskins.
Hey, look, I hope he's right. We went through it, I guess, like last week, our predictions, and I don't know, new coach. Dwayne Haskins did show some signs of improvement last year, but, the new coach brings Kyle Allen with him. You now got Alex Smith potentially in the equation. I don't see him playing 16 games. I see the team struggling a lot. I see them losing a ton of games, and I can't see him putting up big numbers given the fact he has Terry McLaurin and Drek at wide receiver. That's it. Right?
Just
who's he throwing to the ball?
I don't know. I wouldn't call it Drek. You don't know if it's Drek. You've never seen these guys play.
Okay, that's fair. Gandy Golden may turn into something.
Here's what's going to happen.
Maybe
they're
Cam
hoping.
Sims will emerge.
Look, I'm looking into my crystal ball. Okay, he's gonna He's going to target Terry McLaurin 175 plus times.
175.
Why wouldn't you?
So that's
he's your best option on offense, and
about 11 to 12 targets per game.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he do that? That makes all the sense in the world. He's your best option on offense.
Okay, well, what if every team brackets him and doubles him?
Doesn't matter. He was torching some of the best corners in the league as a rookie, and he should only be better. So you target Terry McLaurin 175 times. Steven Sims, he had a nice little relationship working with him toward the end of the season. I think he was targeted like 20-plus times in his last 3 games with Haskins. So that's a nice safety valve out of the slot. Then you work in Gibson and McKissick out of the backfield, and Inman catches you, I don't know, I'm not going to overestimate him. He catches 30 balls.
30 balls. He had 12 last year.
Okay, he was flip-flopping between 2 teams. If he plays 16 games, I don't think that's less than 2 catches per game. I don't think that's outrageous. And then you piecemeal together your tight end spot. That's how you get to your Dwayne Haskins pretty good to potentially monster season. I've laid it out for you. There's the groundwork.
I don't see it. When we start saying that mid-20s is a monster year, then about 20 guys had monster years.
Well, for him, it's a sliding scale, though. I mean, it's not a monster year for Mahomes or Lamar, but for a second-year guy who was thrust into a terrible situation as a rookie, 25 touchdowns would be a quantum leap for him. That would be huge.
I mean, Mahomes
only can limit the interceptions.
Mahomes only threw 26 last year.
Right, I don't think
that's the best guy in the league.
I don't think Dwayne Haskins is going to get to 25 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think if he got you 21 to 23, and you sprinkle in a few rushing touchdowns,
yeah, you're really happy.
You'll take that all day long.
And I've said this multiple times. It's going to be very difficult for a young quarterback, a second-year quarterback, to have a really good year, especially early when you had no off-season workouts, you had no OTAs, you had no camps, you got no preseason games, you got a new system. You've got, 1 or 2 receivers that you're really comfortable with, that you know. I just think that there's a lot of hurdles. So I
also don't care about quarterbacks' bodies. Peyton Manning always kind of had it looked like kind of I wouldn't say a big gut, but he certainly didn't look cut. Matt Ryan is super skinny, but he can sling it all over the field. Ben Roethlisberger has been overweight at times and is still one of the best. The body doesn't mean that much. Now, as we talked about in the offseason, it was a great sign that given the fact a lot of people questioned Haskins' work ethic, that it looked like he was putting in the work and taking his job seriously. That's a good indicator. But ultimately, whether he's ripped and lost body fat doesn't mean anything to me as a quarterback.
Oh, I don't care if he looks chiseled or not, but like you said, I think it points to the fact that he's taking his job seriously. He knows there are people trying to take his job, and he's dedicating himself to getting better. I think that's the bigger takeaway from the way he looks at this point.